Hello and welcome to the Just Interesting podcast, and we're a trio again.
Hey!
Looks like there's some consistency. We're a trio. It's a Monday when we're recording this. I mean, how long has it been since it was meant to be? It's always meant to be a Monday, but usually it's not. So, welcome one and all, everyone who's in the chat at home. We've got Captain Wonky, Hidden History with Ray. That sounds fun. Oh. Cat Jab, not so fun. Camera Shy Coco, C.S. Drummerson. Welcome all of you and many, many more to the Just Interesting podcast. And welcome Robin and Alex. How are you both?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I knew you'd answer at the same time.
Awkward pause and simultaneous answer.
Always pretty ambiguous.
We've only done this for like over 3 years now. We haven't been able to work. We haven't worked that out yet. The pecking.
Well, Alex, how are you? Let's go alphabetical. Alex, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Martin. Yeah, and I'm happy that we are back here doing this on a Monday, given that is the time that we tell people we do this every single week. And when was the last time we did it on a Monday? Definitely over a month ago.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. But I mainly blame Robin for that, for his problems, with the authorities, and it was throwing our schedule off. Really, that was the main issue.
Yeah.
No, come on, I was not. You could have waited to take my calls.
Was it the correctional facility yet? Taking your calls. So, Robin, yes, you're back. You're embedded back into this series.
I'm in deep, good. Martin, and I love it.
It's good. Fantastic. Well, this week, guys, I thought we'd talk about. I mean, we've done evil men, haven't we? Most evil men in history. We've done most evil women. We're on to the kids now. The most evil kids.
Yes.
I've got to be honest with you guys, there was a little bit of apprehension in my mind that this would just be a list of terrible, terrible things that would make everyone truly depressed. And so I think between us, we've tried to shy away from it just being outright disgustingly horrible, which it could quite easily have been, and add a little bit of variety. So that's what we're talking about as our main topic today. But before we get into that, let's learn about let's discover what we've learned this week. Right. But before we get into that, I would like to tell you a little riddle to get your minds going.
Oh, I'm excited.
Before this.
My riddles tend to be as bad as I can get them, like the worst riddles possible. Robin goes for these kind of medieval Viking era Saxon riddles, and I don't know what kind of riddles you go for, Martin. You're the wild card in the riddle game.
It's a little bit. I mean, this riddle shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, it's kind of like it should be fairly straightforward. Okay, this is the riddle. I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Cracked, made, told, and played. What am I?
Okay, yeah.
Cracked, made, told, and played.
Got it. Sure, Robin's got it already. Good, good. Well done. Well, everyone at home in the comments, do let us know what you think of that one. Has anyone got it so far? No one yet, but I'm sure many people will.
I can't figure this one out. I'm terrible at riddles.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
You know the answer, they seem so damn easy. That's the thing, right? But if you don't,
it's so uneven. Like, my experience with riddles is just, I don't know. For me, the riddle is what is a riddle, because sometimes it's like impenetrable, sometimes it's nonsense, and other times, like tonight, that was a good riddle, I thought, because I got it. Therefore, it is good. I got it. Well done. It's good.
I knew all the answers. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, let us know in the comments. And let's get on to what we've learned this week. So let's go alphabetical again. Alex.
Okay.
Have you learned anything this week? And if so, what have you learned?
Well, so I learned something. It might be a bit of a dry fact. So I'm trying to, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I found it interesting. But I learned the reason why children under 2 years old are allowed to sit on their parents' laps on planes. Because that's something that I would think, in a car seat, you have to have a booster seat.
Yeah, yeah. Good point, yeah.
So why are children allowed to sit on their parents' laps on planes?
Ooh, good question.
The interesting thing about this is apparently the FAA, Federal Aviation Authority, predicted that if kids under 2 years old were required to have their own seats on planes, then at least 60 kids would die in excess in car accidents for every child saved by enforcing this rule. So they basically did statistics to work this out. So basically, if the number
What,
of
so
because they worked out that if the number of children who can fly in a parent's lap are instead forced to ride in a car to make their trip.
Yeah.
So basically, parents, if they
But-
enforce this rule, then parents would still take the journey, but they wouldn't pay for the plane ticket because they'd have to buy an extra seat. So instead, they choose to drive, and that if they chose to drive, then more children would die every year in car accidents than on a plane.
that seems that's
Okay.
but that's what. Why can't adults sit on the adults' laps then? It's the same.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is kind of the same.
That'd be a
principle.
much more fun plane journey too. Yeah.
It is kind of this, it would be the same principle.
Where does that principle end? Like, just give everyone free flights, and no one will die.
But they just couldn't enforce that policy because it would actively be killing an excess of 60 children a year by forcing them into car
now they're on
accidents.
the high ground with the morals.
I'd say that hasn't stopped our governments in the UK in recent years enforcing policies that studies and statisticians and experts say this is just going to kill people if you do this.
But
I'm sure in America too, actually.
I find it just
Where does it
interesting.
end though? It's like, oh, the government again have put up train prices. That means that X number of people will drive, therefore they're dead.
Yeah,
Like,
because of course,
where does this end?
flying is statistically safer than driving. But of course, yeah, you can't just fly everywhere for every single journey of every day. Yeah, no, but I thought that was interesting. It's kind of one of those examples of statistics. Individually, it would be safest if children did have a booster seat on a plane next to their parents or whatever. But as a whole, it's safer doing it this way as opposed to enforcing that policy.
When you think about the greater good.
The greater good, yeah.
Greater good, yeah.
And I just
It's
thought that was
funny, yeah. That's really interesting. And tough, though, because I'm glad they did that study, and I'm sure the statistics are quite, the predictions are quite accurate. But there is part of me, I don't know if you have this, there's part of me that's like, would it though? Would it though? You know, a little bit of me that's a bit contrarian and be like, yeah, sure it would. I'm sure it's actually the case.
Or is it also a business decision in order to if they're gonna not, if we do enforce this policy, then we're gonna lose this amount of customers every year. Let's justify it instead by saying we're saving lives.
Yeah, you get more people on board if you can get the small children into their parents' laps.
And I guess if you've got small children, you'd expect to maybe not pay as much. So therefore, some of the seats would be subsidised, perhaps. I don't know. And so therefore, they'd be losing out on money. Not sure.
Is it true that children under 3 travel free on airplanes? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I haven't actually gone on a plane with my kids.
Well,
sure.
I thought it was under 2 and that was
Under
purely
2.
because
they're on the seat
because they don't have to pay for a seat.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, I think. Oh man, maybe a short haul flight you can get away with, but anything over an hour, you're risking pissing everyone off big time, aren't you? Yeah. Taking your little kid on a plane.
So I recently took a few long haul flights, and there were multiple children, and they were all as bad as you would fear they would be on a long haul flight. Just what you don't want, you know. There was one in particular, just. Man, every opportunity for anything to happen that might upset a child, this one took to scream its head off. But setting that aside for a moment, actually, Martin, I thought a lot about you on these flights because long haul flight, you're on the plane for hours on end, and I needed to go to the loo a couple of times, and every loo I went to, even though it said smoking's banned and you're not allowed to smoke, the smoke alarm will go off, there was still that little ashtray that I remember your fact about. In every single toilet.
They do, don't they? They still have the ashtrays.
Still got the ashtrays, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Yes. Good. I'm glad. In a way, I'm glad. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Well, Robin, I guess that is something you've learned this week, but what else have you learned?
The other thing I learned this week is a predicted model, actually, so it might not come true, but it probably will. The Earth has tectonic plates on its surface, and they move around slowly as the magma, the core of the Earth, moves around. It kind of drags the plates, which are floating on top of it, with it. So, and that in distant eons past, all the continents were different. And in fact, when the dinosaurs were around, all the continents were probably conjoined in one giant landmass, which is why you find dinosaurs of similar species across different continents. It's not because they swam between them, it's because one time these land masses were conjoined. Well, there's a prediction that in, a very close 250 million years' time,
Blimey.
we'll have a new supercontinent on planet Earth called Pangea Proxima. And it will literally, every single continent is going to smush into all the others and form a new continent. And the only a couple of places are going to be separate from it, including New Zealand.
Oh, it's always New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also going to be. Yeah, so South America, North America, Africa, Australia, Eurasia, and Europe are all going to, smush into each other. Britain will no longer be an island; it'll be caught between Canada and France. But New Zealand will still be out on its own.
I mean, that's
interesting.
I hate to say it, but that's if New Zealand still exists in 250 million years. Aren't they like right on those tectonic plates? Like, who knows?
They are.
Who knows what could
This is how
happen
I
in that
discovered
time?
this. Yeah, because I was looking up this. They're on the tectonic plate. Then the South Island, in particular, is on a subducting plate that is expected to, in some millions of years, going to suddenly shift, like a bit like the San Andreas Fault. It's just going to jarringly go, and Island of New Zealand will just be ripped in two and probably sink into the sea. It's also North Island is on an active supervolcano, which is expected to erupt sometime.
Oh dear.
Jeez. Yeah, it doesn't sound that fun. Yeah, apprehend. If you've got anxiety, probably not the place to live. Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy. I prefer Pangea 2 as opposed to...
What was it? Geo something. What was the name of the continent?
Pangea Proxima.
Proxima. Yeah, I prefer Pangea 2, I reckon, but, Proxima's okay.
Pangea 2, the sequel.
If that is your real name.
Well, I'll see you
Pangea
guys,
3, ripped apart. Yeah.
I'll see you guys in 250 million years. That'll be great.
Yeah, we'll check in 250 million years, see if it's still
We'll
there.
still be doing the podcast. Maybe at that point we'll be on episode. maybe at that point we'll be on episode 200. Who knows?
Ooh, maybe.
What did you learn this week, Martin?
Well, I learnt about the US Army, and everyone knows that the US Army is a beacon for sustainability, right? That's what they're known for.
Of course. Yes.
Oh dear. Well, in 2017, in fact, and I don't know who came up with this. There's someone in their PR or marketing department, but the US Army apparently looked for ways to create biodegradable ammunition.
Oh, that's good.
Which included. Yeah, lovely. So
Think of the planet, for goodness sake.
Think of the planet, yeah.
Yeah.
So of course they were incredibly concerned about the environmental impact when you give arms to children and then they shoot other children or adults. They are then concerned about the bullet cases, not degrading and instead rusting and infecting the water supply and thus polluting the soil, etc. So, of course, the US Army had the brilliant idea of creating biodegradable ammunition, and not only biodegradable ammunition, but that the ammunition not only should contain bullets, but should also contain seeds for plants and food for animals. In this way, when they're shooting at children, and there's dead bodies everywhere, but the animals can only eat the rotting carcasses, but can also eat these plants, these lovely wild plants and crops that will grow.
Are these seeds sourced locally from the arena of war, or is this is imported from America?
Oh yeah, no, American all day, baby.
It's so they introduce invasive plant species to also mess up their geology as well.
Hey, let's bring some rabbits with us whilst we're at it.
Fire a rocket launcher and a grey squirrel falls out. So apparently this was being researched back in 2017. Haven't heard much about it since. But when next time you see an American soldier dusting a local, think about the good that they're doing in helping the local animals and the local environment.
I mean,
God bless America.
In fairness, killing people is a good way of saving the environment. So just saying,
to a certain extent,
especially so they're doubling down on it. The environmental element of it. Yeah. So
I guess, yeah. Although, think of the economy. Isn't like one of the prime war zone jobs for children collecting all the spent shells for reusing?
Yeah, it's like cups at a music festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no longer needed. Put those children out of a job.
Is that actually a thing? Kids collecting shells. What?
Didn't you collect shotgun shells?
I don't have first-hand experience with this, Alex. I'm only going by hearsay.
Oh, okay. No, I can't say I did. Do you know what though? I know we're kind of joking about it, but I imagine the amount of lead expelled from them. I imagine it is quite a big issue. Lead probably that's probably not a good. So I'm all for it.
No, unfortunately, I mean, if it's one or the other, then fair enough. We will see if that ends up actually happening in reality.
Well, the shells aren't made of lead, are they? They're more like to be brass, aren't they?
What happens when they say, "Oh yeah, the shells"? I guess, yeah.
What about what about eat lead? Like the
But the bullets that miss will also go into the environment, won't they? Yes, that's a good point. Yes, I hadn't thought about that. Yes.
No, either way, not ideal. But anyway, so thank goodness they're making efforts to course correct, and make the world a better place. With that,
that's crazy.
Shall we have a look at our favourite comments of the week? I love this part.
Yeah,
let's.
Yeah.
So, guys, what have you got? Have you got any that you picked out and thought, oh, hold on a second, this is a bloody good comment, actually?
Well, actually, there's a comment from the chat I'd like to reply to. Lots of great comments in the chat, by the way. Thank you all for joining us live. This one's from... Oh, my God, I lost it already. LW. LW says, "Evening, guys. Any plans on playing any games together soon?"
Ooh.
Good question. Because we recently did a live stream on Twitch. We have a twitch.tv/justinteresting. We were doing quite a bit last year, but then kind of fell out the habit as things got a bit chaotic. And various members of the group were in and out of various jails. But now we're hopefully going back to more normality. Yeah, it'll be fun to do it again if you guys are free.
Do you have any games that you'd like to see us play, or Robin or Martin?
Yeah.
Are there any games that you'd like to play together?
I did enjoy the Evil Dead.
That was quite fun. Yeah, that was quite a fun one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. Yeah, we could play that again. Warm ourselves up for something else.
And after what were you here when I said that I'd watched the Evil Dead? Robin finally got round to it.
No, I missed that.
No, I watched it, liked it. More inclined to play the game again now.
Awesome.
Nice.
It's an amazing mix between being utterly... I watched the first one, by the way. Utterly ridiculous and kind of slightly camp and just like stupid with the dialogue, and then really actually quite scary and gruesome.
Yeah.
It's a great mix.
Yeah. And it's that perfect balance of I don't know how much this is intentional and how much this is a happy accident.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. So glad.
No,
you should definitely... Are you going to watch the sequels? Do you think you will?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go through them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
LW
That's the plan.
says in the chat, I've been playing Dark Pictures games. And we played Man of Medan.
Yeah.
And maybe we should play some more of those, because I think there's been a couple.
Yeah, I'll happily.
The Quarry.
Yeah, I'll happily.
Another one, maybe.
Yeah, they've been 4 Dark Pictures games. I've played the first 3. I'd happily watch you two play the second and third, and I haven't played the 4th one yet, which is the one with Jesse.
It's always there. Yeah. There's the Man of Medan.
The second one's called Little Hope. I think it's got
yes.
Oh yeah, oh great, actually. Yeah. It's got what's his face in what's his name? Will Poulter. He's in it. Third one is what's the third one called? It's the one with
is it The Quarry?
No, The Quarry is by the same studio, but it's a different.
It's different, isn't it?
It's its own thing. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, The Quarry came out between the 3rd and 4th Dark Pictures games. The 4th, like Dark Moon Rising or something like that is the 3rd game. I can't remember. It's got the Exorcist Pazuzu statue on it, and what's her face, the actress. I wish. Oh man, my brain's just failing tonight. Recall.
It's quite all right. I'm sure it's fine.
Ashley something. She was a Disney
House of Ashes.
Thank you.
House of Ashes.
I think the actress was one of the Mickey Mouse Club. Maybe. I can't remember now. Anyway, yeah. And then the 4th one is like the devil inside or something like that. It's kind of like a serial killer in a hospital type genre, but I don't know because I haven't played it. So that was Robin's unsponsored advert for the Dark Pictures Anthology game series. If you like choose your own adventure horror, you will enjoy this.
Well, I had a comment that I just wanted to call out from last week's episode from Amy Licious, who says, "What's so important about this week? I got engaged today after 16 years. So massive congratulations.
That's amazing.
Well done. Congratulations.
No way. Oh, fantastic. Well, awaiting the invite.
I was going to say, obviously, we'll all three of us be expecting an invite.
It's the classic. Yeah.
At some point, but fair enough. Yeah, no, congratulations. Well done.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for telling us, for sharing it with us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I have one from Alan Haff that just says, "Live and let die." And I assume that's in reference. I assume that's in reference to last week's comment about Bond theme tunes that should have won.
Oscars, yeah.
The
Oscar
for
best
soundtrack,
yeah, or best song.
Best original song, yeah.
Music, yeah. Original song. And the ones that have won it are of mixed quality. Live and Let Die, yeah. I mean, it's a good one. It's what, top 5? Would you say top 5 Bond themes?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I've never actually ranked them, so I don't know. Yeah,
I have actually. I should get out my spreadsheet right now.
I remember.
I do actually have a spreadsheet of them.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, we should talk about it.
I never really watched like the old James Bonds, but I did last year. I did go through a phase of watching all the kind of Bond songs, not the actual film, just the songs, listening to
the credits and the things. Yeah,
and I have to say, I do think that the more modern ones, maybe it's just more my style, but like from Casino Royale onwards, they were just better. They were better, in my opinion.
The themes?
Yeah, the themes. They were
from
all...
Casino, okay.
I didn't really enjoy any of the old ones. Not a lot of them.
Casino Royale.
I'm glad you enjoy what you enjoy.
The silence that the podcast listeners can hear right now is utter disdain from Robin and Martin.
Crickets. No, I'm actually having a look at my spreadsheet. I wasn't joking, and having a look at how I ranked the more modern ones. And I'm just having a look, and yeah, you're wrong. I'm joking. No, but I've actually got Live and Let Die.
Obviously, Madonna is at the top
3
for me.
Oh gosh, Alex. Problem is, I don't know if you're joking. That's the problem.
Madonna's in last place for me.
Oh, really? Below Another Way to Die? I guess Jack White is good. Do you rank it
I
highly?
really like that thing. I ranked it at number 8.
Huh. That's nice.
Yeah. And it would have been higher if it wasn't for Alicia Keys. Sorry, Alicia, but you were terrible in that song. Yeah. I don't think she'll take it personally.
I think I'm too big a fan of John Barry to not rank those in the tops,
I think we need to have an order of this podcast of how many times unprompted Bond songs have come up, because I think
just rolls right around.
Stop getting Bond wrong.
I feel like in at least like 25% of all episodes, this has come up.
Catjubs come up with their own version of the Alicia Keys, which is the bouncy verse in Live and Let Die. I imagine that's the "What does it matter to you?"
The classic Paul McCartney of that Wings era. I'm going to combine 2 different melodies into the same song.
Yes. Yeah, I can see why you wouldn't like that. I can understand that.
Yeah, it's a badass song, and then those verses aren't so badass.
No, true. Oh, well, enough Bond. Shall we move on to the apprehension around this, but shall we move on to the most evil children in history?
Yes.
Oh, goodness me. Right. We could have just gone for a whole load of kids that killed other kids and abducted people and were really, really horrible and sadistic in the last 10 years. But we all decided as a collective, really, that we didn't want to just focus on that. I mean, mine is still pretty grim, to be fair. But I know that, Robin, you've got something that's a little bit historical.
Yeah.
Alex, I can't actually remember what you've gone for, but it's a little bit sooner in time, right?
Yeah,
It goes from
a little bit sooner in
what
time.
kind of year are we? What kind of year are we talking?
We're talking late 1800s.
Okay, and then Robin, yours is older than that. Then Alex's, yours is, and then mine's the newest, which is actually in the 60s. So should we go chronological, starting with the oldest?
Chronological works.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Cool.
In which case, mine would be the oldest. And I thought this is something that, again, randomly occurred to me whilst looking at some of the horror stories, the true horror stories of the shocking number of children who do really evil things in our modern society. And I thought, this is too dark. I'm going to get as far away from this as possible. So I went to the medieval era. And I always thought, what's a good source for some kind of dodgy stuff, or a safe place, medieval times. And when in doubt, looking for dodgy doings, look at the Catholic Church. And it turns out that do you know who the youngest pope in history was?
I can't say I do.
Well,
you told me earlier, but I actually can't remember.
That's all right. I'll tell you now. It was Pope Benedict the Ninth, who became pope in the year of 1032 at the ripe old age of 12 years old.
How does that happen? How does a 12-year-old become pope? It's not like you inherit the throne. Like, they voted, don't they?
It's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Well, I should mention that the Catholic Encyclopedia from 1905 says, and was written by Catholics for Catholics, says that he was 20 years old when he became pope. However, no historian knows where the Catholic Encyclopedia got that information from. And Rodolphus Glaber, who was a monk and historian, great name, isn't he? A monk and a historian who was alive when Pope Benedict IX was pope, said that he was 12 years old. So I'm going to trust Rodolphus Glaber, who was alive and knew the pope, and said that he was 12 years old when he became pope in 1032. What qualified him to be pope at such a young age? Well, turns out he came from one of the wealthiest and probably the most powerful families in what is now modern Italy. And in fact, he was the nephew of two previous popes, John the 19th
God, that helps, doesn't it?
and Benedict the 8th. Even though you might think that helps to qualify him for the role, but actually his father basically bought the papacy for him.
I thought you were going to say it was a case of don't tell anyone and we'll make you pope.
No, they have to elect them. The whole white smoke thing. So no, he was elected, but elected with a little bit of help from his dad's purse.
That's got to be actually the most ridiculous thing a parent has ever bought their child. The papacy.
The papacy, yeah.
Just bought you the title of pope. That's got to be up there.
Smashes those sweet 16ths out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the deeds and doings of Benedict IX are not well known in detail. So I'm just going to quote what historians from the modern age and his contemporaries said about him in summary. So the 19th century historian Ferdinand Gregorovius, can't say his name, described him as, and I quote, a demon from hell.
Good. Yeah. It's great being the Pope, isn't it?
Pope Victor III, who was Pope in 1086, so not long after Pope Benedict, wrote that Benedict committed rapes, murders, and other unspeakable acts of violence and sodomy. His life as a pope was so vile, so foul, so execrable that I shudder to think of it. That's a pope writing about another pope.
My goodness.
Bishop Benno of Piacenza accused Pope Benedict in his lifetime of many vile adulteries and murders.
Oh, God.
And a monk called Peter Damian, who was a contemporary of Pope Benedict, wrote in 1051 that Benedict committed routine sodomy and bestiality and sponsored orgies in the Vatican.
So just the kind of person that you want representing.
Just who you want to be Pope.
Catholics, yeah. Just who you've nailed it. You've knocked out of the park. Well done.
Things were so bad that in 1036, 4 years after he became Pope, so he's just 16 years old at this point, they tried to murder him in the Vatican, but they cocked it up, they failed, But they did drive him into exile.
I'm sorry.
However,
these people are particularly religious, aren't they? They've got.
Oh yeah.
So they're corrupt, and they're corrupt. Now they're would-be murderers. What's going on? Well, how do they justify
this is his opponents. These are the good guys. They're like, this Pope is so bad, we've got to kill him. And they failed, sadly, in 1036. But with the help of his powerful allies, he soon returned and got rid of the bishops who opposed him.
What, killed them or just removed them?
Removed them. It's not entirely known what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm afraid, if you don't mind, I'm going to pass into his adulthood now because I've got to finish the story.
Okay.
So we'll fast forward to 1044, and he is a young adult now, no longer a child. But Benedict was forced out for a second time because of the continued opposition to his lifestyle. For the record, not because of his policies. We don't know what his policies as Pope were because nobody wrote about them because nobody really cared. But everyone wrote about his murders, his bestiality, his rapes, and his sodomy.
Yeah.
And
As you would.
Yeah, and he was so bad that they kicked him out again in 1044, and he was replaced by Pope Sylvester III. 1 year later, Benedict comes back with an army and conquered Rome and took back the papacy.
Wow.
But just for 1 month, because he decided that he wanted to marry his cousin. And of course, when you're the Pope, you have to be celibate. So after a month of being Pope again, he resigns and sells the papacy to his grandfather, who becomes Pope Gregory VI.
Sells it. Good.
Yeah.
Also very legitimate.
This is important. Remember this. Incidentally, Peter Damian, the monk that I mentioned before, who accused him of some terrible things, loved the Pope Gregory and wrote to Pope Gregory and was like, sort out the scandals in the church now. But Pope Gregory wasn't around for long because 2 years later, in 1045, Benedict changed his mind and again led an army and captured Rome and the papacy, kicked out his granddad, and Sylvester III takes the opportunity to say, hey, I'm actually the Pope. And so you've got three men claiming to be the Pope. Benedict, his granddad, and this other fella, Sylvester.
Yeah.
A lot of important clergy weren't happy with this, and as you can understand, so they got the Holy Roman Emperor, Henry III, to intervene, and he invaded from Germany, Rome, and deposed Benedict, his grandfather, and Sylvester, and decided, enough with these crazy guys, I'm going to pick a new person to be Pope, Clement II. And Clement II immediately starts cleaning up the papacy, and is actually quite popular. However, he dies a year later.
Don't tell me.
Guess what happens next?
Don't tell me. Benedict
comes back in with his army.
Benedict comes back in with an army to become Pope again. But it didn't last. It was only like a few weeks, a day or so, because almost immediately the Holy Roman Emperor sent an army to drive him out again. And he goes into hiding. They charge him with a crime, put him on trial, but not for the murders or the sodomy, which was illegal at the time, or the rapes or the bestiality, or anything else. They charge him with the crime of selling the papacy to his granddad.
Of course they do.
Yeah, of course.
He didn't turn up to the trial, naturally, so he was excommunicated.
Yes.
Nevertheless, he apparently died peacefully around the year 1056. And Saint Bartholomew of Grottaferrata claimed that he repented of his sins and lived a good, quiet life for the last few years.
Oh, that's fine then. That's fine. That makes up for it. He's repented, probably. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know what surprises me more, like him coming back with all these armies. Where's he getting these armies from?
He can't keep getting away with this.
Coming back with these armies. I mean, there's that, and then there's also the fact that they were on a third Sylvester.
Yes.
2 Pope Sylvesters before.
Yeah. And I think they've been more since.
That's also crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
I should probably add that because I thought, if Clement had stayed around, then Benedict wouldn't have come back, but Clement died. And I looked into it, and there were rumors, apparently, almost immediately, that Clement II died of lead poisoning.
Mm.
And in the 20th century, some archaeologists dug him up, did a toxicology test on his remains, and did find that he was poisoned, very heavily poisoned with lead.
Wow.
Wow.
Whether he was murdered or just was taking, it was medieval times. He may have been taking some lead-lined medicine to, help him with something.
Oh dear.
They really were
but yeah,
idiots, weren't they? They knew nothing.
I'm just going to take some of that medicine. Oh, which one? Just the lead one. Notoriously good for you. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear.
So yeah, that was my choice for evil children.
That's a good
who
choice.
continued his
good.
evilness into his adulthood. And thank you for indulging me with the adult section of his life. I just had to tell the whole story.
I'm kind of imagining him as like a real life Joffrey Baratheon. I don't know if he,
Yeah,
like
kind of.
From Game
Actually,
of Thrones,
yeah.
that kind of kid. I'm imagining that. Yeah.
I'm nodding. Never seen it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Big time.
Before we move on, I did just want to say we received a super chat in the comments.
Oh my gosh.
From YVicU
Oh,
of 15
wow, yeah.
euros. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
That's like £1,000 with the current state of the pound. Thank you.
Yes.
We'll be eating good this month. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Coolio. Alex, do you want to... Sorry, Robin. Sorry.
I was just having a why Vix use. I just wanted to read it out, if that's all right.
Oh, yes, indeed.
They say, hi guys, I've been following your podcast since the Conspiracy Theories channel. Sadly, the algorithms and platform censorship did you bad. I am very happy that you keep going with it. Amazing.
Oh, thank you. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping going with us. Appreciate it.
Amazing that you've been with us so long. That's incredible.
Shall I move us on to the next horrible story? This one is, I think we're going downhill in terms of, like, that was quite a fun, interesting roller coaster of emotions story that Robin just presented to us. This is more of an actual, like, typical evil child. So
you know
brace
what?
yourself.
Like,
it's going to get dark.
It being historical kind of helps. It shouldn't, but it does.
There's
Definitely
more
does.
distance from the event, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the person I wanted to look at, if you've seen the thumbnail on YouTube, you'll probably guess this, is Jesse Harding Pomeroy, who in 1874 became the youngest person ever convicted of first-degree murder in Massachusetts. He was only 14 years old, but his crimes were horrific, violent, and bloody, and he would spend the rest of his life in jail before dying in 1932. But he grew up as an impoverished child in Charleston, Massachusetts. He didn't have it easy growing up, which I think is going to be a common trend if you looked at, like, lots of children who commit horrific acts, and people in general. They often have a terrible upbringing, don't they? He had a birth defect that covered his eye with a thick white film, which saw him bullied at school. And according to some historians, anyway, he was savagely beaten at home. But despite this, neither his family nor the law could explain what, like, Jesse would become. From an early age, Pomeroy displayed disturbing behavior and a propensity for violence that would later escalate to heinous crimes. He was the second son of Thomas Pomeroy and his wife Ruth. He was intelligent, but had trouble socializing with other children because of the large size he had for his age. He was quite a large child. And he, as I said, he was born with this defect in his eye. He had a white membrane over one of his eyes, and it caused him to be bullied. The other kids bullied him quite a lot, apparently. He disliked sports and apparently spent most of his time reading violent stories and novels, which I guess is the modern day equivalent of playing violent video games.
Yeah, I mean, that's, or so they said. Yeah.
Also, they said
to reevaluate my position on the whole debate.
Yeah. I think I should also say, take some of this with a grain of salt, because of course historical records aren't that good at this point, and, like, a lot of this is like anecdotes from, I always knew he was a bit off, that type of thing.
Right, yeah.
So we don't necessarily know, and a lot of the sources that I've looked at have kind of, some historians have said different things, some people have said different things, so I don't think a lot of this, well, a lot of it can be trusted, obviously, from official records, but a lot of this, I think, is just going to be anecdotes and stories about his life.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I think, 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 I
But yeah, so his childhood struggles do remain debated. Some historians are adamant that his father, Thomas Pomeroy, who was a Civil War veteran, was abusive, while others say that his upbringing was actually kind of mundane for the time. It wasn't out of the ordinary compared to other children's upbringings.
Right.
That's a nice way of looking at it. Can't hack the abuse, mate. Come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not.
It's just normal around here.
But it's just trying to say, like, if we're saying that environmental factors caused this, if his upbringing isn't too dissimilar to anyone else's, then no one else became what he became. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's get on to his victims. So his first human victim was 4-year-old William Payne, who was found in an isolated outhouse of Powderhorn Hill on Boxing Day in 1871. He was hanging from the ceiling by a rope tied to his wrists, semi-undressed, and suffering from hypothermia. He had been hit repeatedly with an unconfirmed blunt object. And in the following months, 3 more young boys announced that they had been lured to the same place by an older boy with brown hair who apparently fondled himself while he tortured them. And this news prompted an outrage in Boston, and police posted a $500 reward for any clue leading to the arrest of this criminal, who they assumed at the time, it was misreported, that the perpetrator was a young adult with red hair and a pointy beard, when he wasn't actually. At this point, he was 11, 12 years old.
A pointy beard and an eye patch.
And goat legs.
Yeah. Oh dear. Dark.
Very dark. And apparently on July 20th, 1872, only 2 days before he tortured his last victim in this location, he received a severe beating from his father. And around this time, his mother chased Thomas, his dad, out of the family home. And a few days later, she and her children moved to South Boston, where his attacks became closer in frequency and more violent. So whilst at this point he hadn't graduated to murder, he'd simply been torturing people. His assaults were escalating in intensity, and according to witness statements, he seemed to just show sheer enjoyment and pleasure while carrying out these horrific acts. You know, there was no remorse, there was just pure ecstasy and enjoyment whilst he was doing these horrible things. He apparently stabbed one boy with needles. He bit chunks out of someone's cheek, repeatedly stabbed another with a pocket knife. He slashed another boy's face and held his head underwater. And whilst attempting to murder a boy called Robert Gould by slashing at his throat, he was startled by a group of people approaching and fled the scene. So Gould was able to describe his attacker as a big boy with a milky eye. And so because of this, the police went on a tour of Boston schools and, to try and identify the attacker. He's got, a clear indicator.
Yeah.
But despite this, he was able to evade police when they came to his school. But he was later recognized by one of the victims and arrested.
Actually, should have worn that eye patch. I was joking.
Yeah, probably should have. He spent the night in a cell, and after being threatened with a 100-year prison term if he didn't cooperate, he admitted his guilt in all the attacks and was sentenced to live in the Westboro Boys Reform School until he turned 18 years old. Because, remember, at this time, he was like 12 years old.
Wow.
However, he demonstrated good behavior at the institution. And though through the efforts of his mother, who was convinced at this point that he had been framed for all these crimes, and he confessed to them under duress, he was granted an early release a year and a half into his sentencing. So he'd been out on parole for barely a month when 10-year-old Katie Curran disappeared from her home. And she was last seen at Ruth Pomeroy's shop. So, Jesse's mother's shop.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse was working there at the time. Authorities apparently questioned him and searched the store, though they didn't find any trace of Katie Curran. 5 weeks later, however, his boot prints were discovered next to the body of 4-year-old Horace Millen. The boy had been nearly decapitated and dumped on the beach. When police returned to question him, Jesse, they found scratches on his skin and blood on his clothes. And he was arrested on April 24th, 1874, and confessed after being confronted with Millen's body. And then this led police to... Ruth, his mother, was then forced to sell her store for cash after he was arrested to pay for like legal fees and everything. And it was at this point that new tenants in the building discovered the decomposing corpse of Katie Curran in the basement. So he was, tried for both of these murders. And during the trial, he exhibited a chilling lack of remorse and an apparent enjoyment of the attention that he received. So his behavior, coupled with gruesome details of his crimes, shocked the public and the legal system. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. However, due to his young age, the 2 governors refused to sign the kind of execution warrant.
Oh, man.
So his sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. And he spent the rest of his days behind bars, becoming one of the most notorious inmates in the Massachusetts prison system. He continued to exhibit violent tendencies and was often involved in numerous altercations with inmates and prison staff. Over the next 50 years, he would also try and escape. He tried to escape at least a dozen times, apparently. And he nearly succeeded after rerouting gas pipes to his cell to trigger an explosion.
What the hell?
But he actually nearly killed himself in the process, and he incapacitated himself with the explosion.
He still survived.
How do you I mean, that sounds pretty crazy, but how do you reroute gas pipes?
I don't know. I don't understand this.
Interesting.
But eventually he gave up trying to escape, and he spent the rest of his life learning several languages. Apparently he read over 8,000 books, and he was apparently investing in the stock market as well. I don't know where he has the money to
do that.
Yeah. Did he ever get out of prison?
No, he was transferred in his final years to like a working farm for prisoners or something. Due to ailing
like
health.
a Cool Hand Luke type thing.
He died on September 29th, 1932.
Bloody hell.
Wow.
1,000 years after Pope Benedict rose to the papacy.
He was the youngest person ever convicted of first-degree murder in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I think that record was only broken until I think it was broken, but quite recently, as in relatively recently in the last 50 years or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, he's a nasty piece of work.
We have to say, I do wonder how much of this, I guess we'll get into this discussion maybe after we've all spoken about it. But it's interesting to think how much of this is predetermined and how much of it is nature versus nurture, I guess.
Yeah, and I think mine touches upon that as well. The question of can a child truly actually be evil? And I guess there's one way of thinking about it is, a lot of it's due to their circumstance and perhaps they don't quite understand the gravity of what they're doing. But then on the flip side, there hasn't been much time for them to be corrupted. So naturally, is there a tendency towards horrendous acts? Yeah. But I mean, that kind of flows quite nicely into my one. And mine is the story of a girl called Mary Bell. And Mary Bell was brought up in Newcastle, so Tyneside. And her nickname, her serial killers often have nicknames, or murderers have nicknames, known as the Tyneside Strangler. She was born to a teenage mother, so I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people are, but it's just to give you a bit of background. But she did witness neglect and abuse as a child and suffered it. and witnessed it around her. Her mum was a well-known local sex worker at the time as well. So a difficult upbringing where she didn't have stability or that family unit around her. She witnessed her mother attempting to kill herself on multiple occasions as a child.
Oh my God. Wow.
And it was really due to this that she started exhibiting some quite strange and really worrying behaviors at a very early age. And one of these was, as you see a lot, and you hear about a lot with killers, is violence and aggression towards animals in particular, and also other children around her. So she would torture and mutilate animals, small animals, in her younger years, very young years, which really is like a sign, isn't it, of like something's definitely not right if you're happy to kill something or injure something that's completely innocent. And then on May 25th, 1968, when she was just 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, Mary and Norma Bell, who has the same surname but actually is no relation to Mary, took a 4-year-old boy called Martin Brown to an abandoned house where they killed him. Initially, the police believed that the death was accidental, but actually it turned out that they had killed him. They thought that it was accidental until Mary and Norma returned to the scene later, and they inscribed the letter M on Martin's body. And then they were like, what the hell? Who's done this? Then the suspicion obviously arose as a result of this. Don't get me, I really don't know how they didn't take the body away from the scene, but I imagine it was quite soon after the murder had happened. They'd somehow got in and managed to do this.
Wow.
I
can imagine they maybe naturally assumed it was an accident because it was two like young girls. They probably didn't think that they would be murderers. Maybe.
Well, no, I don't think they didn't know at this time that they were involved at all.
Oh, okay.
That the two young girls, they just thought that the boy had gone here and had been involved in an accident. But just a few weeks later, in the end of July, Mary and Norma targeted another young child called Brian Howe, who was just 3 years old. They led him to a wasteland and strangled him, sexually assaulted him. And this time there was the letter N carved into his stomach, and the letter M carved into his thigh. So this was basically like a killer's throwback to the previous murder from Martin. And I imagine that the M referred to Mary and the N to Norma.
Right.
Yeah.
Friends and family, reported her for her odd behaviors. They didn't know she was a killer, but they were like, okay, she's mutilating and killing animals. Something's not right here. And they reported her to the local services and also to the police. And so suspicion fell on Mary when the police questioned her over the deaths of these young boys. And she confessed to both of the murders. Norma, her friend, was acquitted in any involvement. So obviously they determined that Norma was kind of going along with Mary and that Mary was the ringleader, as it were. But of course, during Mary's trial, the defense, as they would, argued that she was not only a child, but also she suffered severely from like psychopathy because of her child upbringing, the trauma she'd witnessed as a child and been subject to, which I think is fairly legitimate. It doesn't excuse it, but it's legitimate, right? Especially at her age.
Yeah.
She had some pretty unusual behavior at the trial. She started laughing, didn't show any remorse, which you could say is this child actually evil? Or you could say, is there, a bit of a screw loose here about not understanding exactly what's happened, the gravity of what they've done, and also potentially some psychological problems there too. So Mary Bell was actually found guilty of manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. So they looked at her age, only being 10 at the time of the killings, and also the fact that her mental state was obviously all over the place. And as a result, she was detained at Her Majesty's pleasure, which means that there was an indefinite prison sentence, right?
Huh. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
She spent time in some different prisons, including Red Bank Secure Unit and Moor Court Open Prison. I don't know those two, but they sound like they're probably high security prisons. And then in 1980, by the time she was 23, she was released from prison and was granted anonymity to protect her identity, so she wasn't targeted by people that were trying to get revenge or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she's lived since then under a new identity, and not much is known about what's happened to her since. So we'd imagine, like, if she'd gone on to kill other people, it probably would have come out what her original identity was. So imagine that there hasn't been any she hasn't killed anyone, at least, publicly. But I think what comes out of this is that there really is this debate and dilemma about, is she actually an evil child, or is she just a product of her circumstance, of what is probably a pretty terrible circumstances growing up, with her mum trying to kill herself, her mum being in prostitution, her being abused. You can use it as an excuse, can't you? Because a lot of people suffer horrendous abuse and don't go on to torture and kill young children.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think we can classify children especially as evil at such a young age if they are a product of their experience, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring this one up as like almost a curtain call, or curtain drop, if that's the word, just because we've talked about evil children, but are any of these children truly evil? They've gone on to do terrible things. Are they actually?
It's why we don't try children in the same way that we try adults, right? Because we assume that they have, less awareness of like right and wrong, and less responsibility.
The age of criminal responsibility is 10, isn't it, in Britain? But even then, they're going to get more lenient sentences, and rehabilitation absolutely comes first for children.
Yeah, I mean, you're still tried as a juvenile, though, aren't you? 10.
Yeah.
So it is different. But I mean, horrific crimes, and you could even say that some of these were sadistic as well. And there's plenty of other cases in which you probably wouldn't actually be as lenient towards the killers. There was a horrific one in the UK back in the 90s. I remember hearing about it growing up with the two kids that killed James Bolger. I mean, they tied him to a train line, didn't they?
Yeah, horrible.
Horrendous. And I didn't want to go into like that kind of case in details, because it is just so harrowing and disgusting. But at the same time, it's like these are essentially children. Can they be actually considered evil?
In the case of Mary Bell, Martin, would you feel differently if she'd had an ideal upbringing but still did the things that she did?
I think so. I think so. The product of your environment, for sure. There'd be less excuse, wouldn't there? Not that there is really an excuse for killing children, even as a child. I think you should. I think at least at the age of 10, you should know that that's wrong. I mean, I think most people, I certainly would have done at that age. Doing, hurting other people is wrong in general. If you're told to not hit your sibling at the age of 3, then you know that hitting someone's wrong, right? Yeah. You might still do it, but you know that it's bad. So I think there's two arguments there, isn't there? There's the fact that they're children, and then the fact that they didn't necessarily have a choice in the things they saw as a child as well, and the things they witnessed and were subject to.
I kind of, part of me wants to agree with you, but part of me also, two things. Firstly, I think that kind of logic leads dangerously close to the whole video games make serial killers argument that we constantly keep having recycled every once in a while in the pop culture wars. And I disagree with that very strongly. I feel like maybe video games help people who are inclined to violence become more effective at committing acts of violence, but it doesn't make them violent.
Mm.
And I think I have that principle I'd have to apply to these children too, and say that it must be something in their nature.
Yes.
Said there are people who endure the same horrific circumstances growing up and turn out not violent or murderous or any kind of other criminal mindset. Although, on the other hand, I also know I've got many friends, including you, Martin, with children. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting your children yet. But
better not; they might kill you.
I was going to say, I know some children who are really mischievous, and they're 2 years old. They've got a twinkle in their eye, and they know exactly what they're doing. They manipulate people, like a big party, big gathering of friends, and these little children, and they've been forbidden from their parents from doing something. So they just go around isolating all the other adults in the room one by one and asking them for this thing that their parents have said they can't have. And then you're like, oh yeah, of course. And then mum comes striding over and saying, what are you doing? It's like, well, little child just wanted this thing, just like they know they're not supposed to have that. And I look at them, they give me a big grin and like, exactly. Like, you know what you're doing.
You've made the
difference between right and wrong. Yeah. I'm sure that there are some children, maybe not all the children, but there are some children who are definitely intelligent enough at an early enough age to be fully responsible for their actions. Yes. Obviously, how do you tell? How do you judge that? I don't know.
I think the reason why there's no definitive answer to this is it's probably somewhere in between, isn't it? It's probably like there is a kind of a almost predeterminedness to it, and also a bit of nature influencing it as well. It's probably a bit of both, a mix of both, I'd say.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Which is not a satisfying answer at all.
No, it's not. But we know that in most cases of convicted paedophiles experienced abuse as children, so it's clearly violence begets violence and that kind of thing. Is a pattern.
It could be a trigger for what's possible. Like some people, it's just not possible. They'll commit terrible acts. But with other people, it's if they've got that within their experience of growing up, then obviously there is some deep-seated trauma there that then manifests later on. But no, pretty horrible. And do let us know in the comments, which child, if any of the children, you think is the most evil. And can children be evil? Let us know. I'm interested to know your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, please do tell us. And don't forget to get in touch on Twitter if you listen to us at a later date on a podcast platform of your choice, at JInterestingYT. Tell us who is most evil. Maybe I'll throw a poll up on the Twitter feed.
Nice.
Is that what it's called? Twitter feed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feed,
okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
That'd be a weird poll for anyone that hasn't listened to this podcast. For anyone,
just random.
Who's the most evil?
Which
child?
of these three people? Random names. I forget. Talking about these kind of really dark subjects is the kind of thing that we can only do on these advertising platforms. Thanks to our Patreon supporters and YouTube members.
Of course.
Who are absolutely wonderful people who have kept us going all this time.
I've had a look, Robin, and just before you get into, I have had a look, and yes, this video doesn't have monetization.
Yay! There you go.
It's been blocked by
no
YouTube.
Surprise.
Fantastic.
Thank you, YouTube. I mean, really? Anyway, special thank you to Rashad Najar, Caleb Wilkerson, Kurt Jones, John Baker, Janie, Henny Ruffle, The Super Show Podcast, great gaming podcast. Please do check them out. Nicholas Dill, Emmett Tapia, Hey Swanboat, Ahmad, Peaswad, Josh Chomatek, Filthy Casual, Simon, and Captain Wonky.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Nice.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone that supports us as well. Those guys in particular, but really, really appreciated. We enjoy doing a little more interesting. It also allows us to have slightly better equipment to record some extra bits for you out and about as well. So thank you so much for your continued support. Right, gents, without further ado, should we move on to the quiz of this week?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. So, where are we at? So, Robin, in fact, you are on 6 points. I am on 6 points, and Alex, you're on 3. So, Alex, I need you here to. I need you to win here,
Martin.
really
Why would
do.
I help you at all?
I don't know, because just friends or something. I thought I meant something to you, but obviously not.
You
What
lost.
happened?
You
Hey,
lost
my gosh.
any affection that I once had when you kept the trophy and refused
I haven't got
to
the
save
trophy.
it. What do you mean you
Oh,
haven't got the
no.
trophy?
You've got
Every
the
week.
trophy.
Every damn episode.
You've got the trophy. You took it to Scotland.
This
Can you
is
remember?
this is
Gaslighting
why
me.
I'm purposefully going to lose this quiz. No, in fairness,
Oh,
I'm going
excuses
to
then,
try
I
and
see.
win my hardest, just because it's embarrassing, and I need to get another point on the board. Because
Dude, it's
you're
not
out there on
embarrassing.
6, and I'm on 3. No,
It's a
I won't
perfectly
allow
respectable score. 6-3 is a good score.
it. Already with the mind games. Listen to this.
I know. It's every week, isn't it? Every week, apart from when you're getting arrested. Right.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So everyone at home, you can play along. That's one of the best bits about this. If you're watching live, it's we do a bit of an honor system. Keep your score. First 3 people that get the answer correct in the chat will get a point, and the winner at home gets nothing. So that's fun.
Woohoo!
Good stuff. Okay, right. Buzzers at the ready. What do you have this week, guys? Robin, what have you gone for?
Place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space.
Very good, very good.
Best
That is.
ever. That is.
And Alex, have you gone for a classic too?
I have gone up for a classic. I've realised it's been a while.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson.
It's been a while. So I thought I'd bring back.
It has been a
Yeah.
while. I think that's your good luck charm. I think that's what wins you quizzes.
It is a good one. It is a good one. Right.
Fingers
Okay.
crossed.
Oops, sorry.
Fingers crossed. Fingers on the buzzers for this first one. Okay. Like last week, we're going into the chemical symbols.
Oh no.
What is the chemical symbol for gold?
French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence.
I got French champagne there on my end.
Ah, fair enough.
Is it? I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Is it AU?
AU. AU.
AU.
That's right.
Yes.
AU.
Nice.
Hey, you.
1-0. Yes, it is AU for gold. And what was that? What was silver again?
It's AG.
AG. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Just testing you. Right. Loads of people in the chat got that right pretty quickly as well. So Alice Knox, AU. Or LW put AI. You probably meant AU, but had a bit of a typo there. Also correct. Yeah, I'll give you that because it's right next to on
Yeah,
the
it could
keyboard.
be
You can have
autocorrect.
that.
Yeah.
And Harpo, Django Rose, AU. So well done, you 3. Well done, everyone else. Weren't quite quick enough for the point, but loads of people got that right. So
nice.
well done.
Well done.
You know, AU reminds me of my favourite Bond villain name. Auric, spelled AU.
Oh, no.
Goldfinger.
Yeah.
How are we talking about Bond again? We got to stop. We've got a problem.
You cannot stop me.
Very good. Right. Question number 2. In which country would you find the ancient ruins of Machu Picchu?
Champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence.
By capitalism.
Champagne.
Machu Picchu.
I mean, I don't feel. Is it? Are you thinking you're buzzing in earlier, Robin? Because I can always.
No, I'm fearing it simultaneously, so
Okay.
I trust your judgment. Yeah.
Okay.
I do think your buzzer could be a bit louder or something. It's breaking up a little bit for me, but I don't know. I don't want to influence the decision.
No, go ahead. Have your guess. Have your...
Machu Picchu. Oh, this is really embarrassing that I don't know where Machu Picchu is. Machu Picchu. Oh my god, this is going to be embarrassing. Is it oh my god, no. I don't know. Mexico.
3, 2. No, it's not Mexico. No.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Robin. Machu Picchu.
I'm pretty sure, although now I'm having doubts. Peru, right?
Pará, darling.
It is Peru.
Pará, of
Yes.
course, yes.
Pará,
I was trying to think of the Gap Yard video where he said
Yeah.
Pará, darling, Pará.
Ja, Peru.
Sorry.
Ja. I'm at jail. Yeah.
I just
Dan,
suddenly.
Dan got it. Dan put Paru, which I'm going to give you that. It's close enough.
Peru.
Paru.
I couldn't remember any countries around that area. I was having an absolute brain fart, mate.
No, I'm sorry. That's annoying. I hate it when that happens.
That's the crime for buzzing in and not having an answer ready.
It is. It makes you look a bit silly if you don't get it. Yeah. But it's 1-1, so there's still plenty of time left. The guys who got that, I mean, loads of people said Peru, but there was also quite a few autocorrects on this one. So Dan had Peru, Alex Knox had Peru, and LW again had an autocorrect for Perry.
Perry.
Had an I instead
As in Perry Mason?
Those I's instead of
As in
U's again.
Perry sauce.
LW. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Of course.
But yes, well, I mean, you guys, you all knew it was Peru. You just spelt it wrong. So there we go. Well done. Okay, on to question number 3. Who is the only US president who has served more than 2 terms?
Spice!
Has always been celebrated.
Bays.
Spies. I'm pretty sure that is good old Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
It is.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Of course it is. Of course it is. Very good. Very good. And
He didn't serve much of his terms beyond 2, did he?
No. So, I mean, C.S. Drumerson's the only one.
How
got that.
How
So,
comes he
well
was
done.
allowed to have an extra term? Was there
Rules.
Did they not have
Them's
the
were
rules back
rules, right?
then?
Well, it's not a rule. It's a thing.
Is it not
There's
a
nothing
rule?
that stops a president from running for a 3rd term. It's just something George Washington, a tradition he established because he had 2 terms and then said, I shouldn't, I don't want to be
Oh.
king for life, so it's just an honorary thing.
Wow.
And it was World War II. So Roosevelt said, for continuity, I'll run for a 3rd term. And everyone said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I'm going to give that to C.S. Drumerson because I believe any other Roosevelts came in after that. So well done. Okay, on to question number 4. Okay. Who discovered the antibiotic penicillin?
French champagne. Has always been.
Yes. Alex, who have you got? For penicillin, who have you got?
Was it not my own namesake, Alexander Fleming?
It was.
It was indeed.
Alexander Fleming.
Well done.
Very good. Very good. Quick onto that one.
Don't know if he is related to Ian Fleming, author of the James Bond books.
Hammer's
Robin,
Bond.
no! How many times can you slide James Bond into the podcast?
Could be some
How many
kind of
How many times does
Poor
James Bond
choice of
slide in there?
word.
We don't know. We'll find out. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And of course, if you don't have penicillin and you're very ill, you might live and let die. Okay. Question.
nice
Oh,
one.
who got that one? Who got that one? No one. Amazing.
All right. Huh.
None of the chat got it. Congratulations. Question number 5. You were quick onto that, to be fair, Robin. Question number 5. In what year did the Chernobyl nuclear disaster happen?
To the one place that hasn't been corrupted by
Quickly onto that, Robin. What have you got?
Yeah, Buzz. That was slightly. That was part of a fear buzz. Like, I want to beat Alex. To this one. I'm now very doubtful. I may be
Oh,
out.
okay.
1986.
It was 1986.
Oh, no.
Well done.
My goodness.
In fairness, I was
Very
thinking
good, very
87, so I would have got it wrong.
You would have been close. Would be close, but not quite.
The effects of the Chernobyl disaster. 87. Yeah.
Cat Jab put April, so
Well,
that's
but
wrong.
could be. Is it? I don't know.
April, it might be April 1986, but not quite the year. And then, Ports' name is Ports 1986. Who was first to put 1986?
Wow.
So
Fair
well
enough.
done. Obviously, maybe if that's when you were born, Ports, potentially you're like, when I was born, Chernobyl happened. Who else? Alex Knox was next, and then C.S. Drumerson. So well done, you three.
Well done.
Very good, very good. A few 1985s and 1987. So the right kind of era, but 86 was the year itself. Very good. Right, 3-2 to Robin. as we're halfway through the quiz.
Oh, it's close. It's tight.
Question number 6. Which African country is the most populous?
The French
To the one place
champagne.
that hasn't been
I
corrupted.
didn't think Alex.
Alex was just in there first, yeah.
Is it? Bit of a stab in the dark. Is it Nigeria?
Is it or is it not Nigeria? That's a good question. It is Nigeria.
It is. Yes.
Sorry, I was
Well
just
done.
buying. Yeah, it is. I'm just buying time for people to have a go in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Massively overcrowded, Nigeria. Like,
Yeah, I think they're going to be.
Huge.
Isn't Nigeria going to be like the most populated country in the world in like 100 years?
Yeah,
the
I've
birth
seen
rate.
I've seen
Mad.
estimates for it. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's something. There's like
birth rate.
some mad stat like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
estimates like that. If the current birth rate
Crazy.
is the
Crazy.
same, stay similar.
yes, yeah.
Who got that one in the
Sweet.
chat?
Who got it in the chat? Dan was bang on to it, as was C.S. Drummerson. So Dan's doing well, and C.S. Drummerson's doing well. Matt said South Africa. Good guess. Ports 1986 said South Africa, which I just
what?
trying to get in there nice and quick. South Africa, but not quite South Africa. Okay, question number 7. What is the national animal of Canada?
French champagne
Ooh.
has always been celebrated for its sex.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can I have a go?
Yeah, interesting. Of course you can.
Well, I'm just gonna say, is it moose?
Is it moose? It is not moose.
No.
Oh, that's unexpected.
Hmm.
What else does Canada have?
Thanks.
I'm going to guess a name of a creature that I'm not actually sure exists anymore. Elk?
No, not elk.
Okay.
Um.
No.
What was it going to be in Canada?
Can we have a clue, or is it? I don't know. No. Is it too
Yeah,
early?
you can do.
Is it too
Yeah,
early
might
for
be
a clue?
useful.
You can have a clue if you want. Have you both had a guess? Have you? Haven't you?
We have, yeah.
Okay.
Stumped.
It is. Okay, I'm trying to think of one that doesn't give it too much away. It's not a large animal. Does that help?
French champagne has always been celebrated for its.
I mean, one that I kind of had in mind. I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. Is it a beaver?
It is a beaver.
Is it?
Well done.
Oh, great.
Well done.
Oh, well
Very
done.
good.
Yeah, that's
Very good.
good thinking there.
Yes.
The comment section was flooded with moose and then goose. Could you be moose, goose, moose, goose?
My
Definitely
my
right.
next guess would have been the Canada goose, yeah.
Yeah.
But not the
Be-
not the beaver.
Beaver. C.S. Strassen again comes in with beavers,
Yeah.
which is just a great comment. Wow. Well done, Alex. Pulled it out from the back of your brain there. Very
Yeah,
good.
I don't know
Well, if I
where.
ever go to Canada, I'll have to seek out the beaver.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very
I
good.
don't know where I got that from, to be honest. Yeah.
No.
You just
it's not-
reached deep, didn't you? Just went for the gutter.
I mean, it's no unicorn, but it's still pretty good. Which, of course, is the national animal of
Scotland, obviously.
Scotland.
Oh yeah.
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 It's probably come
Hey,
up
now,
on
Paulie
like some
says-
nature documentary or something. Yeah.
Hey, now Paulie says goose, and then went, damn, I'm Canadian too. Very good. Very good. Oh, okay. Question number 8. My goodness, this is a close quiz. Which country is known as the land of fire and ice?
French champagne
that was Alex.
has always been.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm going to say, is it Iceland?
It is Iceland.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Very
Oh
good.
man, he's run away with the
No.
quiz. He's done it. He's done
No,
it.
I haven't done it
No,
yet,
it's
Robin.
not done yet. It's not done yet. It's not.
Yeah, I think I think he got it.
No, I haven't. Stop with your
Wow.
mind games. Stop it.
You've been to
I'm not
Iceland,
doing it
haven't you, Alex?
I've never
Been to
been to
Iceland?
Iceland. No. No, I'd love
No,
to
haven't
go.
you? Yeah. Have you been, Martin?
I've been to Iceland, yeah.
What's it like?
Fire and ice everywhere, mate.
Everywhere you go, just walking down the street, bloody fire and ice.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's lovely, spectacular, as the kids say. Yeah, no, worth going to. Worth going to.
Did
I was
you
going to
go
ask,
in the winter?
isn't everything
or
really
summer?
expensive there? But
To answer both of those, yes, stuff is expensive, but it was largely catered for because it was like a geography field trip when I was 16, 17.
what?
Yeah.
What a cool field trip!
Yeah, I know.
That's the coolest field trip.
Yeah,
My word.
yeah, so that was fun. And yes, it was summer, so it was light basically the whole time. Yeah.
Oh, but
pretty
you didn't
crazy.
see the winter lights then, I'm guessing.
Wow.
I didn't see. No, I didn't see the
No.
Borealis. No, missed that. I would like to go back though.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get there?
I think about 3 hours probably.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah,
that
I
far,
think
is
so.
it, from here?
London
Is
to
that door to door?
door to actually. I
Get through airport
when we
security.
landed, the tires of the plane burst on landing.
No way.
Yeah, and so we're stuck in the middle of this runway.
Oh
And
wow.
this tiny little fire engine, it was lime green, tiny little thing, not much bigger than a minibus, came along, and obviously they just looked at the plane and were like, "That's a jet. We're not going to have to do anything here. We're not going to have to move that off the runway." So our bags came like 2 days later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I never heard of that happening, but I guess
Yeah.
it makes sense it would happen. Tires bursting as you land. Wow.
yeah.
So what
I
did
can
you
see how long
do?
it took
Did you
out.
just have to like buy clothes?
Yeah.
Bunch of
Yeah,
like
so we had like the clothes with us, and that was pretty much it. Like, yeah, it wasn't great. Like a couple of days.
wow, bunch of very smelly teenagers.
That's it. That was the deal. Yeah,
Did you tell the
that wasn't
difference? That's the question. Teachers were like, "Yeah, it doesn't make it. Nothing's changed."
great. Oh man, no, good though. It's really good. Like if I think the one thing you definitely need to do is to plan what you want to do and when.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's just so much to see and do. You've got to kind of prioritize what you want to actually go and do. But like, yeah, walking across lava fields, seeing incredible waterfalls and geysers and stuff. Yeah, great, really good. Yeah, worth a visit.
Nice.
Okay, so who got Iceland in the chat? Quite a few people, but who was first? LW, Iceland. Harpo Django Rose, Iceland. And Ports, 1986, Iceland 2. Well done, you three. And also a few other people too. Very good. Okay, 5-3, Alex. You need one more to claim the victory. But Robin, we know about your comeback, so it's not done yet.
It's not going to happen. Thank you, but it's not going to happen.
This one, I'll have this one as a closest wins, I think, because I think you're unlikely to know it
Okay.
off the top of your heads.
Okay.
Okay. Question number 9. How many keys are there on a standard piano?
Oh shucks.
Are we including like the black keys as well? Like it's all the keys?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Versus wins, eh?
Closest wins.
72.
Okay.
Oh damn, that's a good guess. I'm just counting some of them. So,
What, you got a piano in the corner? Excuse me, whilst I look at the grand piano and the...
I'm gonna go.
Champagne has always been celebrated.
I'll go 96.
Whoa.
96 and 72. The answer is 88.
No!
So Alex, you gain the point.
Yes.
Well done. Knowledge.
Just to let you guys know, there's a huge range of answers in the chat here,
Oh, yeah.
ranging from 80, which is pretty close. C.S. Trumson, well done, to 179 from Dan, a little bit on the high side, but you could be. And Alice Knox says 182. So you could be after a mega piano, Dan. You could be used to giant piano. So I'm not writing it off. But 88 is the answer that I have down. So I'm going to give that to C.S. Drummerson definitely for saying 80, and Matt to 101i with 74. That's pretty good too. So you two can have points. Cool.
Oh,
So
well
what
done, Alex.
was the answer?
Alex.
80,
88.
88. Okay.
Two fat ladies.
So my maths
Indeed.
didn't work out there at all. I tried to work out the number of keys and like a a key, so like C, D, E, F, G,
Oh wow.
A, B,
Oh, yeah.
Musical knowledge.
and then
Right.
like the 3 and the 2 black keys, and then just
Yeah.
I thought I didn't know how many. But
Oh,
then,
you weren't
I
far
thought
off,
there was,
though.
like, a
Yeah,
bit
you're
of
pretty
something.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. There you
Mine
go.
was just a random guess. I don't know anything about music.
Yeah.
No.
So well done. That was good knowledge. Good use of knowledge. Good
Well
application.
done. Well done.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good.
Well, I mean, that's
Okay,
how that's how you win these quizzes, Robin, and that's why I'm on. 4
That's how
wins
winning
now.
is done. Yeah.
Well, the quiz is over, but there is time to get some self-respect back, Robin.
Thanks.
As
Thanks
we
for
move on to
confirming I've
question
lost it.
number 10. Yeah, indeed. Question 10. Who is considered the father of psychoanalysis?
Champagne has always been so.
Oh, that was simultaneous. I'm going to give it to Robin because I heard space come through pretty sharpish.
Thank you. Thanks very much. It's got to be Sigmund Freud, dude.
It's going to be Fruit Dude. I was going to say that.
Fruit Dude.
Fruit Dude. Oh, such a good film. It is. It is
Yay.
Sigmund. Of course it is. Yeah, well done.
Wunderbar.
Well
Dude
done.
was obsessed with penises. Yeah,
She loved a good penis.
And mothers.
and mothers.
And mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, combined. Hey now, Paulie, Dan, and LW. Well done. Well done.
Well done.
He's the famous one, isn't he? That Fruit Dude.
Yeah.
And Caesar was a salad dressing dude.
So good.
Bill and Ted, for those who don't know. Okay. Do you want the bonus question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Why
good
not?
stuff. Of course, it's a closest wins.
Nice.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry, Robin.
This is-
I need to give you your point for that.
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
good,
well,
good.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make it
Got to keep it proper.
6-4.
That's respectable.
Do you know what? If
That's
there
a
was
decent score.
if that was a 3-point question to end on, I'd have been so
would have been amazing.
annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can
I
do
think
that.
that those days seem to be long gone. And that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
Okay.
I'll bring them back.
Okay, so-
17 points. How many? Yeah, no.
Yes.
Sorry, Martin. Still interrupted.
Name all 50. No, yeah. How many members of the EU are there now? All members of the
20.
EU
28.
26? Is that?
in alphabetical.
Has someone else joined since we left? I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know.
Okay, bonus. It's approximation, but approximately how many languages are spoken in the world today?
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oof. Hmm.
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 Where do you start that?
Yeah. What constitutes
I
a
reckon it's
language,
way
for
more
example?
than we think as well.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot.
French champagne has always been
Hmm.
celebrated.
I'm going to say 187.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to go a bit higher, but what the heck? Why not? 10,000.
Okay, 187 and 10,000.
I think that's too many.
Robin, you are closer.
Am I? Yay! But how far?
approximately 7,000 languages.
Oh,
what?
wow. Okay.
Okay,
Actually,
well,
much
yeah.
closer than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. I imagine it must be regional
What?
languages where they're split into. Maybe
Well, I thought
tribal
in
languages.
Europe alone, there's got to be nearly 100, right? So in Africa, there must be a load. So that's what I was going by.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, that was a terrible guess on my part. But
Well, actually, in the chat, the Jagman 22 bit 12,500. So I think you're closest. It ranged from 3, which I'm not quite sure. There's
Willfully wrong, surely.
32 to 12,500. So a nice range there. Spiffing,
Yeah.
does that include programming languages? Well, I
Whoa.
said spoken languages, so probably not. Yeah.
Until the computer starts speaking, in which case,
Exactly.
Oh my
Well,
God.
yeah. Well, you can, I guess. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Anyway,
But they're not currently speaking in computing languages, though. That's fine. It's fine.
yeah, we're okay for now. We're okay for
Yeah.
now. Thank you, guys. That was brilliant, and well done, Alex, on your point.
thank you very much. And
We
honestly,
said 6-4 was
Yeah.
respectable, and I think 6-4 was respectable in terms of the.
The scoreboard,
Quiz
too.
standings
Yeah,
too.
the leaderboard.
well,
Yeah.
also, guys, I've just realised, I don't know if this works out. We'll have to think about this afterwards, but it would be quite handy because it is our 120th episode next week. It's 6.
Ooh.
It's me on the quiz. It's 6-all
Ooh.
versus Martin and Robin. It
Oh.
may be a good place to have a season finale.
to conclude season 5.
Yes.
Wow.
I like it. I like it.
Possibly.
Oh no! Now there's pressure. I mean, it's a good idea. That would be an appropriate way to end the season. And then I think Alex is just keen to wipe the slate clean so he can start again.
It's nice. I would have ended on a win. Lovely. And then I'll be hosting next week's quiz with Robin and Martin. And maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll make it a double feature. Maybe I'll do a double quiz or something. A special one. A special finale quiz.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Twice as big is twice as good. That's my knowledge.
And if you win, Robin, I'm going to leave the trophy at Leatherhead Services for you to pick up, which I believe is an approximate distance between us. So
I appreciate that.
I just looked on a map, and Leatherhead was I don't even know if they've got a service station, but Leatherhead is where it will be. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Because the M25 connects to Leatherhead, so you'll be able to pick it up.
Martin,
nice.
I'm going to let you keep the trophy if you win.
Forever. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, just for next season. Although to be fair,
good stuff.
We have to state that I think Martin you did win last one, so you have it now, and I think you deserve to have it now because you won last season. It was the season before that Alex won.
It was the fact that he kept the trophy and never.
You Alex, you were moving house at the time. You're moving up to Scotland. It was a busy time for you. I was being very kind.
I'm not so sure about that.
Outrageous.
I'm not so sure.
It's a busy time. You didn't want to travel. It could have got stolen in Scotland. Let's be honest.
What? Wow.
You didn't know much about Scotland. You're English for your friend.
It's a notoriously unsafe place.
Exactly. They could have come up to you and said, "Excuse me, what's that?" You've gone, "It's just a little cup with Orson Welles' face on it." And they're like, "Who's Orson Welles?" And you say, "Oh, don't worry." They say, "I'll make you worry about something," and they take it from you. And that's what could have happened. So I saved you from that encounter with an angry Scotsman.
Well,
so
you've just alienated any and all of our Scottish listeners.
There wasn't anything bad about Scottish. It's just that they notoriously will prey upon a young little Englishman like yourself.
That's right. Alex would have kept it safe by entrusting it to the SNP's finance committee.
Slam them.
Oh dear.
The Jackman says, unfortunately, there's no trade agreement between Martin and Scotland, which, yeah.
We'll see.
Well, Martin, if you don't mind, would you mind fetching it from your car or your shed for next week? Get some proof of life.
Oh yeah. No, it's going to be
for the finale.
Yeah, it's going to be here. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Yeah.
Slightly melted or whatever.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was thinking if I lose, I might just burn it. So,
wow.
Dark.
I'm of course joking. You can have it, Robin. A replica copy.
Thanks, Martin. I love a good replica.
You get it in the post. It's just a miniature, a shot glass.
It's a tiny little thing. Yeah.
What the hell is this? Oh, lovely.
You put it through one of those car compactors in a scrapyard, like in Goldfinger when he kills the guy.
Oh, nice!
By putting the car in the crushing thing.
That's true. Oh, beautiful. Bring it back. Bring it back. Shing it back.
That was a bit forced, that one, but I had to get it in there.
One more for the road. Yeah.
Much like James Bond.
Indeed. Oh my gosh! It's not a catchphrase of James Bond's.
That'd be lame, wouldn't it? The entire.
Oh my gosh!
Every time something dramatic happens, oh my gosh!
Well, thanks, guys. We're off to record a little more interesting episode after this. So if you want to join us and see what we talk about in that, do head on over to Patreon. In the meantime, thank you all for watching at home. Thank you for listening on a podcast platform.
Whoa, Martin,
choosing.
I need to stop you right there. What was the answer to the riddle?
Oh, it was
riddle.
Carbon. No, what was the question again? What was the riddle? It was. It was. I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Cracked, made, told, and played.
Oh.
Robin's got it. Alex, do you have any more thoughts?
Alex, have a guess.
I was thinking maybe like joke. Is it a joke?
Hey,
yeah,
it is a
perfect.
Joke.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
very good. Very good.
Nice.
Very good. Spiffing
Nice.
joke as well. So
that's a good one. I like that riddle. That's a good one.
Yeah, nice little one. Well, thanks, guys. Evil Children wasn't as harrowing as it could have been, I think. So
yeah, there's definitely worse stories out there, I think. But I think we chose a good balance, I'd say.
Well, we can always follow up with more Evil Children in a later episode. If people want us to, let us know on Twitter or in the comments below on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube, or in any review if you're able to review us on the podcast platform that you listen to us on. Let us know.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Nice one. Have a good week, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.